right, this is Hospitality and Politics. I am Andrew Ridgie. This show is powered by the New York City Hospitality Alliance. I am here today with Kev and Ria Graham of Kokomo Restaurant in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. You probably know it. If you don't, you have to go check them out. And I am very excited for this conversation for a lot of different reasons, which we'll get into. But first, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. So I know the restaurant, a lot of people do, but maybe Ria, kind of just give us a little insight into the vision behind Kokomo, and then we can talk a little bit more about your day-to-day in the business.
Yeah, of course. So Kokomo is a modern Caribbean cuisine restaurant located in the heart of Brooklyn, like you said. Kev and I both come from Caribbean backgrounds, and because of that, we know how wide the Caribbean food goes in terms of all the different cultures that's brought in order to make one dish. And we recognize that in America, only Jamaican cuisine was really being recognized as Caribbean. And we wanted to kind of just flip that on its head and show everybody just how much that the Caribbean has to offer through the different cultures, as well as just how vast all of our ingredients are.
What's your background?
I'm Trinidadian and Grenadian.
Okay.
And I'm Jamaican.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what's it like? So this is a family business. I mean, the other thing too, what's that like? Husband, wife team?
I think for me,
Look at him like
a movie. You gotta let me warm up for that. That's the first question. We gotta get like question number 6.
We jumped right into it.
And don't give him the political answer.
No,
keep it real.
I'm gonna keep it real, man. I actually enjoy working with Ria because I think that we check each other.
Yeah.
And we keep each other on the right pace to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. And at the same time, it's you have to understand separation.
Yeah.
So working together, there's like times that we should talk about work, and there's times that, all right, let's have a little space and a time of just family time as well. But I definitely enjoy working with Ria. I don't have any like, I hate working with my wife. It's not like that. I know other people have those, kinds of situations and things like that. But I think because most of the time we're usually on the same page, we both have marketing backgrounds. We both have a vision of creativity, and we always want to push the envelope. So it's not like she wants to do something crazy and I'm like, no, we both have that kind of crazy mindset. But at the same time, we do check each other when it's time to like, hey, that's too much, or we're not going to achieve this goal. We keep each other in check.
Yeah. Well, I even feel like what Ria was saying, about your heritage and about the type of cuisine, like it's obviously a business, but it also sounds kind of mission based, but like there's a purpose behind doing it more than just having a business and making money. And when you're in a family and you're running the business, I feel like sometimes that authenticity can shine through. And so much of what people connect with when they go out to a restaurant, to a bar, is like having those authentic, real experiences where they can eat great food, but they can also have a great experience. And that can be produced when there's people who really care about what they're doing.
Definitely.
So tell me just about like the Caribbean restaurant scene in general in New York, and like where do you think Kokomo fits in all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's always been a battle in New York. For some reason, the islands are always trying to see who has the best
rice and
the
peas,
best curry, the best this, the best that. When we kind of saw that as an opportunity to be like, hey, we can all exist under the same umbrella and have a little bit of that and a little bit of this, a little bit of something new, and create magic. So typically it's been kind of divided in the Caribbean community, but I feel like ever since Kokomo started, you started seeing a lot more of the unity coming forward when it comes to people coming together as Caribbean and not just Jamaican or Trinidadian and so on and so forth.
That's great. Well, it helps like elevate, I guess, the
I was just about to say that we've definitely elevated the cuisine. We've helped to elevate and to help other restaurants be more creative and step out the box. Because sometimes in Caribbean, we like to just follow a blueprint of what it is to be from a certain area in the Caribbean. Like we have to cook the food a certain way because this is the blueprint of doing it. And I think we've played it safe. And now with us, when we jumped in, we were like, hey, you know what? We don't care about any rules with how food is supposed to be cooked. We want to be as creative as possible. We're going to elevate to get as much eyes on Caribbean cuisine as possible. So
you both said marketing. So where's the cooking? Who's the chef? Where's where's all the food coming from?
I'm the home cook, the home chef.
Ria's the home chef, and she's an amazing home chef. Okay. But I started off with a group of roving chefs in New York City. I was a part-time promoter and nightlife connoisseur, and I had a group of friends that I grew up with that we always cooked food in the house, and we all had a passion of food. Some of them went to culinary school, and they actually taught me how to cook along our journey together. And I also had a passion for food just from my mom. Because growing up with my mom, who's, obviously my mom and my dad are Jamaican, and they have a strong food culinary background in the house. And just taking on all those traits as we were going through marketing and promoters, and then friends became chefs, and it just became a part of me. It's something that I just do. So when we started Kokomo, me and Ria put the menu together, and it was just based on things that we grew up with. I did food that we ate when we were younger, and then
also being a New Yorker,
New Yorker, things that inspired us from Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and all the Caribbean islands, and then also food that we loved. Italian food, Asian food. So those things are kind of what helped us create this amazing menu at Kokomo.
Wow. And then are either you in the kitchen, or you went out, you found chefs, you found cooks, or
a little bit of both?
I'm in the kitchen. Ria, when we first started, Ria was in the kitchen just as much as me, but I sleep and live in that kitchen. A dish can't get out unless I tried it. A recipe, I'm always watching processes and how we're doing things, because I want to see what's being done from beginning to end, and that's just the passion.
What about the design? The restaurant's beautiful.
Thank you.
Where did the inspiration for the design of the restaurant? Who designed it, built it out?
Yeah, so this woman named Dara, forgive me for forgetting her last name, but Dara Young, there we go. She's an absolute genius when it comes to interior design, and you just giving her the raw bones of what it is that you want, and her bringing it to life. So we essentially told her that we love the style of Tulum. We went to Tulum not too long before we sat down with her, and a lot of the inspiration came from that, but also a lot of it came from just being in those bars and tiki huts when you go to the Caribbean islands and you're by the water, and you have the galvanized on the side, and zinc. You hear the zinc, you hear the water beating on it, and all of that just comes together with the colors of the Caribbean. It was energy, honestly the most fun experience that I had, was sitting down at the table and conceptualizing it, and then seeing it come to life. Beautiful.
And you opened right during the pandemic.
Smack dab in the middle,
Yes, we were wondering how we were going to get a lot of our merchandise and products that were from overseas, which was a scary time for us. Even our designer was like, when are we going to get this stuff, but scary times.
Yeah. So what, I'm just trying to think back. So it was I think I read, so it was in July
4th. Anniversary coming up.
Oh, congratulations.
But we were ready to open in March. But we know what happened March 2020. So what was it like opening? Opening a restaurant anytime is extraordinarily difficult. There's so many challenges. This was just an unprecedented, crazy situation. So what happened? I mean, if you think back, unless you've totally
we remember.
Remember.
We can't forget that.
Fondly.
What was the first weeks of opening like?
First week of opening. So I do remember that they were only letting outside dining happen, right? And no one was allowed to come in the restaurant. They had all these COVID police going around, and everybody else enforcing the laws and everything. And I remember the first day that we opened, we were extremely packed.
Let's say,
we were,
in one word,
pandemonium. We were extremely packed. About 500 people outside or more.
Wow.
Lined up across the street. They bought lawn chairs, and to wait to order food. They turned it into a thing, because everybody was outside at those times, and people just sat outside and waited for hours for food. Not because we were taking long, because they planned on it. We announced we were open, and they're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna go hang out by Kokomo, and it just it was a viral moment for us. And it was, I don't want to say it was unexpected, but I think we knew we were onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would add to that, it was absolutely unexpected.
Yeah.
But it was also the first experience we had with the power of
Mhm.
social media. We didn't know exactly how many people were listening to our story
Mhm.
because we took to social media to say, hey, we're scared. We
Yeah.
have no idea what's about to happen. It feels like doomsday. We just
Mhm.
invested so much of our life, our earnings into this business that might not see the light of day.
Mhm.
And people attached to it. The day that we mentioned that we were going to open, or the day that we opened, rather, the lines were wrapped around the corner with people that we knew, but also plenty that we had no idea.
We're watching.
Yeah, and I mean, they came from Connecticut, from Maryland, from all over just for that opening day.
You know, I want to talk a little bit more about your social media and everything, because I think it's a really amazing story. But in those early days, like, again, I always kind of put everything in like a COVID time frame where things were kind of operating in this just way they probably wouldn't in normal times. But there was a lot of people trying to communicate a lot of different things during the pandemic on social media. And it was also a time where, I mean, obviously social media just has so many eyeballs on it, but that's like when everyone was either in lockdown or they were just getting out, they had to be socially distant and they wanted to go out and socialize. So like there was this real moment there. But what do you think it was about the content that you were putting out that people really connected to, that were like, I got to go to Kokomo, whether they were, from around the block or whether they were from Connecticut?
I think it was how raw and real it was.
Yeah, transparency.
Because at that point, social media was a facade for most people.
Yeah.
You put your best self forward. You show people only the good that's going on in your life. It wasn't too often you would hear someone saying like, I'm close to crying because I'm losing it all.
Yeah, sure.
I think people are inspired by vulnerability when you show it, especially if they attribute you to a level of greatness and they have some type of aspiration to achieve where you're at. And when you become vulnerable and you show that I'm a human being and I'm struggling, but they also are cheering for you and they also kind of know you're going to win. It's like when you look at that basketball team that's down and Jordan's on the team, but he's down 3-1 or 3-2, like, man, Jordan's coming back, but they feel that, they feel that, they're the underdogs, but we know they could do it, and it kind of is relatable because like, I can do that too. I see that in myself. So when I'm down, they're going to make it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Nice. What about like coming out of the gate because of that time with reviews? Because restaurants are, especially when you're opening up, right, a new restaurant, and there's just everyone's a reviewer. And because of you're only outside, the dining room's not open. I mean, we were, super involved in the creation of the outdoor dining program. But then remember, I mean, it was a little bit after you opened, but indoor dining was opening, 25%, and then it was going to 35%, but then it was back to getting shut down. And like all of this is kind of happening, in real time. A lot of it's being put out on social media, either by you or from people who were, going, So how did you help like tell the story in that authentic, raw way? And why did you decide not to kind of put up a facade? Because that's clearly a business decision, which I want to get into some of the business decisions that you've made that you think have been successful, or that if you had an opportunity to make a different decision again, you may have. But like, why did you choose to go that route and really put yourself out there versus, a different way where everything's like, oh, this is great, come and check us out?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would love to give you a whole deep answer to this question. But to be transparent, I just felt it in my spirit. Like I was sitting at home bored like everybody else. The only two options were TV or social media. And something told me, go online and share your story. And then it just started snowballing from there.
Yeah, we come from humble beginnings. And we were once the underdogs, and we like to be able to be relatable to people, and we like to be able to touch people. We don't ever want to feel higher than. People come by us and tell us that we inspire them, and I'm like, no, you inspire me. I'm watching what you're doing as well. Like, you're an inspiration to what I'm doing. And we love to have that support from our family, from our audience. And, the best way to do that is to be transparent and let them know what you're going through. So,
I want people to understand, although we come from somewhat restaurant backgrounds. I did marketing for a small company, and Kev, as he said, he was a chef with his friends. We honestly had no experience running an actual restaurant, nor did we have any sort of mentors to tell us do this or do that. So a lot of this was done off of feeling and intuition and just going with the flow. And I also feel like that's why we were so successful in COVID. You had veterans, doors closing day after day, but yet this small restaurant who has no idea how to run an actual restaurant business is learning day by day, along with the COVID rules, how to make everything happen. And with that being said, I think it aided that we didn't know how the business was ran. So every time the city put out a new rule, you have to do this now, you have to do that now. That was our normal. We didn't know anything that wasn't that.
That's interesting. What things coming from outside of the industry? Is there anything either of you have kind of learned in prior careers that you've applied to restaurants that you've been really successful? Because just like, especially on this show, but just in general, I'm always talking to restaurant nightlife people, and like, particularly in restaurants, there's more and more people over the years that like came from some other field and they had this dream. They wanted to open their own restaurant. And like, you know, there's the downside of that because you don't have the experience in the restaurant, but sometimes there's the upside, which I think it's kind of what you're saying. You don't have any, you know, preconceived notions. You're going with the flow. So like from your prior career before opening the restaurant, are there any, you know, either skill sets that you applied or just like a mentality of how you approach things that you think have been helpful in the restaurant business?
Yeah. I mean, I studied marketing in school, and I feel like something I went into the gate knowing is that my opinion wasn't more valuable than anyone else's. And a lot of times when you're in this industry, you feel like because you see things a certain way, that's the way it should be. But we were always very customer forward from the day that we opened. The same way how we had to be nimble with the rules of COVID, we had to be nimble and learn with our customers. So it's like, hey, we don't like this, we do like that. We were quick to change, quick, because we knew that their opinions mattered way more. And we used to always battle with the managers where it's like, oh no, we hate this. And it's like, well, the customers love it. So it's like, get used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think from you know, obviously nightlife is hospitality as well too, but the things I take away from nightlife is being able to always have a tolerance to provide service. And it's something I try to teach the staff. Like you have to have understanding. You have to love this. You can't come into this industry and not love it, because if you don't love it and you try to do it, you'll drive yourself crazy. You have to leave at the end of the day understand that I'm here to provide a service to our guest. And I've grown this tolerance in nightlife. You know, nightlife is rough. I did nightlife all over New York City, and I've dealt with so many different attitudes, personalities, celebrities, and you know, people that felt like they were supposed to be treated at a certain stature, you know, and I've learned in the restaurant that I've learned how to control the environment and not to control myself in the environment, because a lot of times that's how you end up giving bad service. And that's a message and a trait I always try to pass on to my staff and to the family at Kokomo, of like, understand the environment, understand that no matter how mad a person comes in, we're here to change that for them. We want to make them leave with a feeling of love, a feeling of a new experience, a feeling of what we are trying to create. Now they're a part of it.
When you're like the owner and it's your business, you have a vision, you have a way you do things, but you know, it can be very difficult hiring, you know, and training and, you know, consistency. And even if you're at the business all the time, if you step away, you know, you can't, you know, completely manage everything. So you have to train and entrust people to communicate, you know, how you want your business experience to be communicated. So what's your, you know, process, philosophy about hiring, training? What's that experience been like for you, especially since it was your first restaurant? It's not like you had another one where you brought other people from, or what's that process?
I mean, he did a lot more of the hiring than I did, but in the beginning, I was a part of it quite a bit. And I would say hire based off of character, not skill. Skill, and this is something we had to learn. We used to hire people that had beautiful resumes. And then they turned out to be batshit crazy.
And
you can't you can't fully trust the resume. You really have to go off of what are the characteristics that would make this person a great manager, because skill you can provide.
Yeah.
You can train them. You can give them all the knowledge from your head into their own. What is the character like?
They have to be genuinely passionate about the job. And sometimes those characteristics speak out on the interview, and they might not have like a stellar resume, but then just how they're speaking and how they speak about how they, you know, how they treat their family at home and things that they do, you know. So that is, it was very, the process for us was very intimate. We wanted to speak to every staff member that joined Kokomo, and we did. We told every manager that every person that came through, we had to sit through with an interview as well. And it kind of had the person that was coming into interview, they started immediately feeling more a part of the company, or, you know, part of the hospitality group, because they're like, oh, the owners are here to meet me on my first interview. And then when they start, they see us at work, and it's very inviting and very drawing you into a family type of setting.
You know, you mentioned when we first started talking about, you know, different countries in the Caribbean and different cuisines, and like whether it's competition, it's all this. What and because you got a lot of promotion, you know, like you said, when you first opened up, and there's all these people outside. How do you find like managing expectations? I feel like especially when it comes to, it doesn't matter like what background the cuisine is, but you know, people are super committed, like, oh, you mentioned like your grandma or something, you know, my grandmother makes the best this, or my grandmother makes the best that. So like, how did you set expectations? How did you like communicate, you know, with guests? What do you think that you did both to make people feel like they had that authentic experience, but then also if you ever had something, you know, complaints, like every business gets complaints, like how do you respond to people?
I think in the beginning too, I give that attribute to social media as well. We took our audience along the process of everything we were doing. So we had traditional dishes, you know, we made sure we kept traditional recipes, and then if we put a twist on it, we put certain things in a way that we know, okay, this will resonate. They'll love this, because this is the core of what Caribbean food is, right? And we used to have surveys on Instagram. Hey, what do you guys want on the menu? You know, we were very engaging. What would you guys like to see? Do you guys think this is a good idea? So as we built the menu, we did a lot of tastings. People started falling in love with this menu that we were introducing. And even though we were changing things, by the time they got to the restaurant, they were so excited because we showed videos of us cooking it, prepping it. So they were so excited to now try this food. But then you also had the people that didn't see social media, you know, some of the, you know, people that were hardcore, my mom, you know, that audience, you know, my uncles that were like, hey, this is not what we're used to. And then you got to have that balance in between of having certain things on the menu and then having the creative side of the menu as well.
I was going to add to that, you know, you can't please everybody, and we all know that. But we tried our best to tell a story with our dishes and to broadcast that story so that people understood what they were getting when they came into our doors. And I feel like the only time it really backfired on us is when they did not see the story that we were trying to tell. But those that got it, they truly got it and understood. And I would say, like, food is truly an art, and art is all about storytelling.
Expression.
So if you want to step outside the box with whatever it is that you're trying to create, you have to convey what is that story that you're trying to tell.
You have 3 kids?
We do.
Yes.
All right. And your mom, Karen's involved in the business as well. And she's on the Hospitality Alliance board now.
Yeah.
I always say this with so many of the interviews, like this business, nights, weekends, holidays, when your friends and other family may be out going to a restaurant, you're in your restaurant. You know, there's always something going on. How do you manage just like your personal life with the business? I know they're totally like intertwined, but I always think that's like an amazing skill that you're always trying to like, you know, improve. So how do you do that? What's like the division of business
Church and state.
Yeah, exactly.
I
We're still trying to figure it out. You know, we're still trying to figure it out.
Well, I would say this much. This business has truly matured us because
Yeah.
we started very young and it was just a constant battle and just trying to figure out ebbs and flows. And I always tell this story about how I always told him, we need balance. We need balance. We have kids. You can't always be working, so on and so forth. Until one day he got so frustrated with me and he's like, balance does not exist.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to recognize that it's all about rhythm. And there's going to be times where I'm going to have to stay at work late. There's going to be a month where straight I'm going to have to stay at work late. And there's going to be another time where I'm going to miss work in order to go to the kids' recitals and so on and so forth. You have to understand that there's a bucket.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to deposit in each bucket, but they're not all going to be deposited evenly.
Yeah.
So that's the space that we're in right now.
That's like
Getting
a
that.
very good way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could write that. That's like belongs in a book.
This is what I told her, by the way.
Oh, you
This
did?
is what
I
I
was
told
like,
her.
yeah.
But it was because it started to, I started trying to do so many things.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that I love to get out there and get into it. And, people know me personally know that I'll work forever, like all day, and just to get the job done. And I'm like, I started seeing that, all right, I put 100% into this, 100% into that, 100% into this. And I'm like, I'm still missing all these other things that I couldn't get to. And and then burnout. And then at the same time, I have a family at home. I have a wife. I have 3 kids that need me, and it's like, okay, I see where at a certain point I was struggling to be an entrepreneur, to be a husband, and to be a dad at the same time. And it was bothering me. And it was bothering me because when I come home, I look at in Ria's eyes, and I look into the kids' eyes. I see sadness and I see anger. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing more disappointing than disappointing your 3-year-old daughter. You know what I'm saying? And your 2-year-old. And I had to figure out a way for us together to come to an understanding and to be able to give every space in our life, whatever that season was, the time that it needed. And now things work out better because now we're actually more on the same page.
Yeah. It's like a tap-in system. I can't make it. I need you to tap in. I can't do that. I need you to tap in. So
That's nice. I like that. It's the rhythm, and the rhythm of life is going to constantly change and ebb and
you
flow.
have to pivot,
and and it's how you respond to it.
Yes.
You may not get everything perfect the first time, but it's figuring out how do you tweak this.
It's the rhythm. It's like swimming in the ocean. Yeah.
And they're too young, I guess, to wash dishes now.
Yeah.
And how old?
Not for the dishwasher.
Oh.
Put your kids in Montessori. They teach them young.
There you go. I used to go in. when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, my grandfather to my family's bakery. So at 4:30 in the morning, and then you take a nap on a bag of flour. Or
at how old?
Like 5, 6.
No, well,
I like your grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good. But
stuff.
I think it's it's also character building.
Yes.
And I always think when you see it less now, but you sometimes see it when you go into like a restaurant or something. You see the kids in the back doing their homework, or
It's our kids.
We can relate. We did that throughout the whole COVID.
Yeah.
Our daughter was with us the entire build out of Kokomo. Yeah. And then our other 2 sons they're making pizzas.
Yeah.
We had, late night activities and at the restaurant, and they were there late, And we also last summer when we were having issues with some of the speakers in the back, I had to take the kids with me. We were at the restaurant 12 o'clock at night. My daughter's holding the ladder for me, and I'm climbing up the ladder, fixing the speaker. So it's it does definitely builds character.
Yeah. Listen, I think I don't want to kind of downplay because I know how challenging it is, but at the same time, I think it is this character. There's like a texture that kids learn and just is built into them as they grow up and they experience this. That I think is really important. That whatever they do in the future, it'll be a benefit to them. I mean, everybody should just work in a restaurant. It should be like a civic duty that everybody at some time work in a restaurant or a bar.
It's a lot of discipline, especially in the kitchen. It's a lot of discipline.
It is. And you got people from all walks of life that you have to deal with, whether you work with them or they're customers, just so much of this is just like life skill sets that you learn. What in the business on the restaurant side has been the most challenging, because especially in our work with the advocacy and dealing with all the rules and regulations and laws, and then there's just the obvious competition, of the business, lots of restaurants, lots of bars, some consumer tastes change, some stay the same. But what have you found, I guess, Ria, that has been one of the most challenging, whether expected or unexpected, parts of running a restaurant in the city?
I mean, if you can make it here, you can really make it anywhere.
I've heard that somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, the rules. I mean, I do feel like the city comes down pretty heavy when it comes to restaurants, and from the sidewalk permits, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It almost makes you feel like we might have to cut this. What else?
No.
It almost makes you feel like they don't want you to win.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a sad reality from the city standpoint. But then again, speaking to texture, you can't get more texture than opening a restaurant in New York City. Yeah. Like, I honestly wouldn't want to do it anywhere else in the world. Like, this is an amazing place to be. And I feel like the people support you so much in New York City.
Yeah,
our customers are absolutely amazing. And I would say, a restaurant, my experience as being a restaurateur in general is trying my best to separate my emotions from the actual business. Because when you see a bad review, you take it personal. It's like a
feel it in the heart,
dagger
right in your chest.
to the heart.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that it's all research. When you have a bad day, when the service crashed, or there's so many things that can go wrong, it is all research. And you have to look at that as, okay,
learning tools.
Yeah, like, where did we go wrong? Well, like, what was the breakdown? Where is the misstep? You have to literally dissect every step of it to understand why the outcome was what it was. So it's not a personal attack. Like, I had to really get that through my head. It's not personal. It's research.
I think I agree with what Ria was saying as well. But for me too, it's just to add on to that, it's definitely consistency. I would say one, and rogue staff. So consistency in your culinary program, and it's consistency in your front of house. They have to both be on the same page and working towards the same mission at the same time. You won't get an award in the kitchen if your staff is horrible, and you won't get an award. The restaurant won't get reach the goals and the achievements that you want to reach if both front of house and back of house aren't working together. So consistency in food is number one, and then consistency front of the house service. How we treat our guests. But you have rogue staff, right? That in the kitchen, people change recipes. They make a new sauce.
Call them secret agents.
You have servers that decided, hey, this is the way I'm doing something today. Like, I'm ringing up like this, or I'm gonna go against protocol and do this where it doesn't fit into hospitality. Because I always tell them, like, hey, there's the number one rule is hospitality. That's the rule that goes over everything. So if we have to pivot, find a way to say no by saying yes and offering something else. But I find staff sometimes that'll go out the way to break the rules, to do the bad thing, to turn guests away. And that's the consistency problem that we have.
So as an independent restaurant, have you put systems in place to try to mitigate or eliminate kind of the rogue agent, or to quickly respond when there's an issue? A lot of times if you're a larger corporate restaurant group or a chain or any larger corporation, like, it's easier to have standard operating procedures in place for everything. Have you standardized the way you go about keeping consistency?
For front of the house, we'll do pre-shifts, right? We'll do nightly reports, pre-shifts, and we'll do demos. We'll stage different situations. Like weekly, we'll do this, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or on the slow shifts, Thursdays and Wednesdays during the week.
Plenty of checklists.
Plenty of checklists, but it's also just like, we like to relive the moments and talk about them with the staff to understand where, all right, this is where we went wrong as a group.
So what would be an example of, like, play it out with me?
Okay, so we've had I'll give you an example.
We actually have videos of this online too.
We've done this, right? So we'll have a review that comes in, right? And this review will say, hey, a guest came in and they said the service was horrible. Right. And we'll bring that up. But before we do, we'll bring up all the good service that happened for the day, because you want to build some camaraderie, some team camaraderie. You don't want your staff to feel like, hey, it's all about the negativity and this is, you guys do nothing but, horrible service all the time. We want to build up that positive note as well. So we'll talk about the positive things, and then we'll say, hey guys, let's get into an example. I want to talk about some things that have happened this weekend where some guests said, these things X happened, and you guys speak to me about it and tell me where we went wrong.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit down and we'll act it out. Like, hey, I'll do server to server. I have a server come in and another server sit down and say, how did you feel as the person now on the receiving end to what the server said to you? And then we'll switch it and do different scenarios and things like that. But I think it's all about putting them in the moment and reminding them that we're all human beings and that we all have things going outside the world. When a guest comes in, they want to be treated like family. That's how the same way you would treat somebody that comes into your house. So
you'll also put them in boot camp. You want to talk about your busser boot camp?
Oh. We had a boot camp on how to bust dishes and put them
as
in the buckets,
as
right?
possible.
And because we've had a few accidents where guys will drop all the dishes down the staircase because guys are just dumping them in the bins, and so we had a training with the bartenders, the servers, the bussers, and everybody on how to properly put it in the bins, and we timed it. And we gave an award at the end, and it was fun. Yeah. Because it was fun to see guys trying to do it and how they were messing up, but just trying to make work fun at the same time. Making it engaging.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, I feel like this industry is all about muscle memory.
Yeah.
And once you build the appropriate muscles, it's going to be like a reflex. Yeah. You're going to know what it is that you have to do. So because of that, doing a lot of these trainings might seem silly to a lot of our staff, but that's us trying to build it up so that when they're in the field, it's like you don't have to go to a manager. You know exactly how to react.
And we cross-utilize that training too. So we'll have the bartenders bust dishes as well. Because I'm like, hey, when you go to the bathroom, you pass the bus bin, right? Bring it downstairs, fix it up. It's a team effort. Yeah. We're a family. We're all trying to have an amazing shift and have amazing reviews and amazing experience for our guests. So
that's great. You mentioned putting some of that stuff online. One of the things that I caught my eye a while back watching you was you got really raw and open, like you were saying, in telling your story, with the challenges. So much of what you see on social media is, just the good stuff. But I think it was interesting to talk about the challenges of running a business, while raising a family, challenges of when things go wrong at the restaurant, which is usually kind of like the opposite of what businesses, want to show. So can you tell me a little bit about your approach and also the production value of what you put together and put out there was really great.
Thank you.
It was like high quality, but in a real way. Sometimes there's that balance where something's overproduced and you're like, like, ugh. But it was a way where I think it was really nicely produced, but really connected. What's the genesis of telling that story and presenting it in the way that you decided to do it?
Yeah. Well, I have to say content creation is also one of my loves. And it did start because of what happened, how it catapulted Kokomo during COVID, and us recognizing just how powerful it is to let people in and to not suffer in silence. And I think that's what we were discussing when we decided to put all of that information out. People are curious. They want to know the face behind the brand. And I think, honestly, any business owner is doing themselves a disservice if they don't put themselves out there. Well, I mean, look what happened to McDonald's. Maybe not every business owner. But if you have a story to tell, people want to hear it. And not only do they want to hear it, they want to support it. So we knew that us saying, hey, this is what's going on. We're in trouble. Once again, we're not sure what's going to happen. And we appreciate all of you that have supported us this far. But even more so, we appreciate all of you that are going to still support us and come out even more so because you know that this small business needs you. And that's what's holding us together right now. Times are rough. Economy is not doing the greatest. And people don't necessarily have a lot of money to spend and for it to go around. So when they spend that dollar, they want to make sure it's going to the place that they know and trust and appreciate and want to support.
I think also too, when people are part of a brand, and we've grown a lot of brand loyalty with our audience and our guests, they want to know that they're heard, right? And we went through a time where our reviews were coming in, and some of them were pretty bad, and we're reading these things, and the restaurants, going down a little bit, and reservations are becoming less and less, finances are going down, and we're like, what's going on? What is going on? And when you speak to people with this transparency and this ability to be vulnerable, and you're reaching out and you're saying, hey, we want to hear from you. Now they're like, oh, they actually really care. And what is more important to a person that supports a brand than to know that they really care about something? Like, we're doing something now to give back to the community and to give you guys what you want. And that was key for them. I'm like, oh, they care that we come to Kokomo.
I mean, it's honestly a great strategy. The feedback that we got back from everybody, we received messages like, hey, we stopped coming because of X, Y, and Z. And we were like, wow.
We learned so much.
Okay.
We learned a lot. People DM'd us. People
called us.
They called us. People were calling from their jobs like, hey, I just want to talk to you guys. Do you have 20 minutes? Wow. This was my experience with this manager. This is my experience with this server. Things that we never even heard about or knew happened.
Wow.
I was like, you went through that at my restaurant?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
That's amazing that someone would, like there's always going to be people that are going to troll online.
Oh, yeah.
But it's amazing that you've built the loyalty that people connected where they actually wanted to reach out and share constructive feedback like that. It shows that there's like a connection and they want to be part of the story and they want to support.
I want to tell you one more thing on that. We were in the restaurant and sometimes Ria was there and sometimes I was there by myself. People were calling the host stand and they were like, can I speak to Kev and Ria? And like, if I was home, they were calling like, hey, there's people here keep calling to talk to you and Ria. And if we're there, they pass us the phone. They're like, who's this? The person said they want to talk to you on the phone. And, they were pouring out their hearts. And, like, this is where you guys went wrong. And we want you to win.
And what was so interesting, the last thing I'll say on it, is not only we had customers reaching out, we also had people in the industry saying, hey, we will donate our time in order to help you in this area, because we read some of the comments too, and this is my specialty. So it's like, man, if you have issues, let the world know. It's okay. It's okay.
We talk a lot about that with the Alliance. It's just like the mentorship and the sharing of ideas. And what's the state of this is always like a big philosophical question, but it's also a practical question. What's the state of the restaurant industry? You mentioned the economy. Like, what's the state of Kokomo right now? And like, how do you view the state of the restaurant industry? Because we've just gone through so much over the past bunch of years. And what's going on like at a ground level at the restaurant?
at a ground level, I would say that we're in a space right now where we're receiving, right? We're receiving and we're adapting to what we've learned from our guests and even our staff as well too. And we're in a time of developing consistency and fixing all the things that we went wrong and kind of going back to who we were and how we started originally, going back to the core of what Kokomo was. And that was one of our biggest complaints. People would say, hey, you guys lost the plot. It's the new thing the young kids are saying, right? We lost the plot, or we want the original Kokomo back that was authentic, that was fun, that was an experience. And that had a lot to do with a lot of things. I had to do a lot of mishires, people that we brought into the company that should never been there, people that we brought into our kitchen that we shouldn't have left in charge of our culinary programs. So it's all back to being attentive and getting back to the core of who we really are.
In regards to the state of the restaurant industry, I would be honest, we've definitely seen a dive. We have in our guest check average, the amount of customers that are coming out, it's night and day from how it was 5-6 years ago.
Even popular restaurants that we go to, we won't name them. We go to popular restaurants all the time. We are a
popular restaurant.
No, but other popular restaurants besides us, we go to them all the time. We walk in, we're like, this place is empty.
What do you look for when you go out to other restaurants? Obviously, you're going out to have a good meal and experience, but you're always kind of working. Yeah. So what do you look for?
We see everything.
But what do you look for tips? Like, are there certain things when you go into another restaurant where you're like, let me see this or that?
I mean, it's honestly annoying. I know it annoys other people when we go out with them, but we're checking to see how fast the server comes to the table, how fast we're getting the water. I mean, service in general.
Care?
Also, the manager, how approachable he is. If something is going wrong, how do they rectify the situation? I feel like it's every little detail down to We would notice if someone walks past an unoccupied table and adjusts the forks. I'm like, yes, that is a good manager.
Yeah.
It's the little details.
Teresi, sorry.
I know,
Yes.
Teresi. Yeah, we have
Amazing
Yeah.
service. Amazing service. But we went out last night. We won't name a place. And actually, they sent us a message, and I'm going to send them a message back and tell them our experience. We were there, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
We went for dinner. We stopped for a snack somewhere else in Brooklyn. We went for dinner, and we were like, we were really hungry. I didn't know Ria surprised me. I had a reservation at this place. And I had heard that the food needed work, but the drinks was good and the ambiance was really nice. So we said, we'll go and give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's a year later now. We'll give it a shot. We go there and we both order a drink. They come back and they repeat the drinks wrong. I said, no, I had something else. So they had 2 of the same drink. So I never got my drink. 20 minutes later, I still didn't get my drink. Ria got her drink. The first set of appetizers came out twice together, right? And then the other food also came out twice, but everything was just not the palate, the flavors weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, what was the most alarming about that is, and I just want to make sure everybody understands what you're saying. So let's say we ordered 1 ceviche. They brought out 2.
2 at the same time.
We ordered a chicken and we ordered lamb. They brought out 2. I'm like, the waste.
The waste.
Wow. Yeah.
That's happening in that kitchen.
waste.
So that's why, I was like, let me talk to this manager. Like, do you know that there's something going on with your process? Either server messed up or your computer system or your expediter, something is wrong because you're wasting food now. And then, it was a little flavorless. It was a lot flavorless, and they probably need to work on that because that's what their reviews are saying.
Yeah.
Well, we decided to give them a chance, but we ended up leaving. And I'm not going to go online. We don't do that.
Yeah, of course.
We'd rather call the establishment and say, hey, we were here last night and we just want to give you some advice. And no, we just want to help out.
Yeah.
Because people take that word wrong. Like, who am I to give advice, right?
What do you think are 1 or 2, maybe each one of you give like a tip? Like, what do you think that you've done most successfully at Kokomo?
Storytelling.
Hands
down. I think that's what has really differentiated us from everybody else. People feel like they're a part of the business. They're not just a patron. We're family to them.
What about in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, for me, I work with the staff a lot in the kitchen, the guys down there, and I'm always supporting them. I come into so many shifts. They call me on my phone. They call at 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. They call in the morning like, hey, Kev, we're going to need help today. Can you please come in? And I'm like, all right, cool. I look at Ria like, hey, the guys need me to come in today, whether I'm on the line, when I'm, doing a gourmet station, whether I'm expediting, they're telling me they need the help. And, they care about it so much that they'll be honest. Kev, we're not strong enough tonight to finish these things. And I think that, building that family with your staff is really important. Because they feel so connected to you and they take more pride in what they're doing. But the other thing I think that we've really, really done well is being able to go by every table and engage with our guests and let them know how thankful we are. Stop by and say how things are doing. Like, we personally do that. I personally make sure that when I'm at the restaurant, I will talk to every single table there, and people appreciate it so much. Like, oh, you're the owner? Yeah. Like, hey, I'm the owner. I came by to say hi. They said we didn't complain about anything. No, I really just wanted to say hi and see how you were doing. And thank you for being here. And people love that.
If I'm eating dinner with both of you at Kokomo and I just say, order for me, what are you ordering?
I was waiting on this question. Off the rip.
She's
the escovitch snapper. Yeah. Yes. The 3-pound escovitch snapper.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to pair that with our... I forget it's crab fried rice, but it has a particular kind of rice, which is a nod to the Haitian community. You're the chef. You have
the crab. We have the crab fried rice.
Yeah.
We have
It's a great pairing. Okay, we'll get back to that.
Well, we have the crab fried rice. We do the I would say either the curry Thai snapper or the escovitch snapper because they're both 3-pound snap. They're both really good. Obviously one is oven baked, and the other one is fried. And one of them is the oven baked is more of a staple in Jamaica, and then the baked one pays a nod to the Asian fusion that we do at Kokomo. So you definitely have to get that. But I could have.
We skipped over the
appetizers.
I know.
You got to get the curry crab gyoza, and you have to speak on where that comes from.
Which is a nod to Trinidad. It's our national dish, but we refined it and made it more Asian. So absolutely delicious.
We were working on this dish for 5 years.
Wow.
We're not working on it. We couldn't find a chef to believe in it.
And to believe in it. We
So
had
it was like an idea.
No, but
Yeah,
we've had
and
them
they
try
were
to.
like,
We've
not
had guys that
happening.
try
Yeah.
to make it, and they were just like they failed.
Yeah.
And then other chefs was like, "Why are we doing this?" And I'm like, "Because we're being creative." They didn't see the vision, and that's why you got to
Yeah.
be careful.
Well,
who you
what made
hire.
it work?
We got the
A chef that just
Just-
believed
yeah,
this, that
okay.
was willing to try.
We
We
You
had,
know,
we
that's
had
all we
two
need.
really
Someone to
creative chefs.
try.
Yeah, one had an
Same with
Asian
the
background and Jamaican background, and
Okay.
one of them was French trained and also trained in Asian food. And
Yeah.
they came together and they was like, "This
But
is cool."
back to the food, the what's it called?
The Aki and Saltfish
The
Shumai.
Aki- yes.
The Aki and
yes.
Saltfish Shumai, which pays homage to Aki, which is the Caribbean, the traditional fruit of
Mhm.
Jamaica, which I grew up eating with saltfish, or some people know as bacalao.
Mhm.
Aki and Saltfish, we eat with dumplings, yam, boiled banana, and things like that. And you have to get it with this shumai, which is this Asian wrapping, like a wrap.
The shumai.
Shumai,
yeah.
basically,
Mhm.
yeah. But we stuff the Aki and Saltfish in there. It comes with a vada Von sauce, escabeche on the side. It's mango puree sauce as well. It's delicious.
And then we're gonna have to hit you with one of the flatbreads.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
okay.
gonna eat good.
No,
yeah.
I do. That's what I like. All right.
the Caribbean flatbread.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to the Oxtail because you see
Yeah.
Oxtail on the menu, you want it. But my favorite is the Rasta pasta flatbread,
Ah.
which is penne pasta, Alfredo sauce with jerk seasoning. You can get it with shrimp, chicken. It's absolutely delicious. No one else sells it in New York City, to be honest. And it's something that we came up with. And then the Aki flatbread, which is tomato confit, Aki, Scotch bonnet cilantro. It's delicious. It's amazing. You'll love it.
Amazing. All right. I will be there. So tell me before we finish up, what else, what's happening in the future? What are the plans? Like events, other restaurants, other new dishes? You have an idea, you gotta find a new chef that can figure out how to bring your idea to life. What's on the menu?
We have some dishes that we've also been working on since the inception of Kokomo. Some dishes I can't say too much because somebody might steal it.
Okay.
I actually saw one guy try the other day. I was getting so mad, like I gotta finish this before he does. And a lot to do with curry, and to do with the Flatbird Station as well, paying homage back to Ria's Trinidadian roots. But right now, the restaurant's open Thursday through Sunday, and we're open for brunch Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday's really cool because we do brunch all day Sunday, and we do dinner all day. So if you want to come in and you have a group of friends, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, I want brunch, I want dinner." We'll just wait till dinner starts. Sunday at Kokomo, you don't have to do that.
Nice.
Because you can get dinner for breakfast and you get brunch for dinner, and we serve that menu all day on Sunday. So that's pretty much what's going on right now, Kokomo. And then we also have our annual summer event, which is Coco Fest, which is our way that we give back to the community and bring a lot of different vendors together, and we play a lot of different music from all over the Caribbean, and it's also influenced by its cultural experience.
Yeah.
It's also influenced by just being a New Yorker.
Yeah.
What it is to grow up in New York and what it is to be Caribbean. We've kind of embodied that in this festival.
It started as a block party.
Yes,
to
yes.
discuss that, and
Yeah, we started as a block party. This is an event that we started doing it in 2021. And the first year we did it had about 3,000 people.
Wow.
In 2023, it had 7,000 people. We had 32 RSVPs in a week for this event.
3,200 RSVPs.
32,000 RSVPs.
Oh.
Yeah, 22,000 RSVPs. That's why we turned it off.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was insane. And this is an event that we just do to bring the community together, and people come from all over New York City to have jerk chicken and hear Caribbean music, hip hop, dance hall, Haitian music, Latin music, everything, and people dance in the street, and they have an amazing time. So we're gonna, we love to continue to do that every summer as our way just to give back and bring people together.
Amazing. Food, culture, music, like all of this, and like New York, I feel like this is why it's the best place in the entire world, because you just have people from everywhere in the world that come here and like live amongst each other and, blend and fuse, but also do their own thing authentically. From the beginning of the conversation, you talk about like the culture and all of this. Like, what is it that you want your contribution when you're like looking back, not to get too deep, overly deep, but like, I'm sure you think about it. Like, what do you want your contribution to be to your heritage, to the restaurant scene, to food, cuisine? Like, how do you think about that? And what do you want to look back and be like, oh, we did this, we did that? I
actually think we already achieved it, to be honest.
Amazing.
And one of the reasons why we started Kokomo was the lack of fine dining in the Caribbean community. So when you look at Mexican culture, Italian culture, Asian culture, there are different levels to it, from mom and pop go all the way up. But for some reason, the Caribbean community was so stagnant in one area. You know, you go to the mom and pop, you might have like a slightly sit down, well, I can't call it fine dining at all. And then that's just it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why weren't we able to break through that barrier and introduce it into a whole new space? So that's what we set out to do with Kokomo. And I have to say that I'm so happy with all of the different variations that have come out since then. I mean, look at Tatiana's, like that alone is so amazing.
You know, everyone's now getting their James Beard Awards. You know, everyone's getting Michelin stars, and it's great to be able to push the narrative and change the narrative of how Caribbean food and the cuisine is received, and that we are elevating food. We have some of the top chefs in the world, and that it's so amazing to have us as a culture in the restaurant industry go outside the box. And I see so many restaurants now and chefs of Caribbean descent taking chances and doing different things, and they're getting recognition for it. And that was the goal. Whether the goal, you know, it's funny because I'm realizing now that we thought the goal was for us to get the Michelin star. Or for us to get the James Beard Award. But the real goal was to elevate ourselves and the culture and the community and to push everyone else at the same time.
It was so surprising when we opened in Williamsburg alone. People were like, why are you opening Caribbean in Williamsburg? Like, why not Flatbush? Why not these areas? And I'm like, well, why not? Like, why can't we be
Why do the norm that everybody else do?
Well, you blaze the trail. Like you said, you help elevate everyone. Well, bravo. That's amazing. All right. So I had some mental notes, and I'll go back and watch the episode and come to the restaurant. But Ria, Kev, thank you so much. Go visit them at Kokomo. Coco Fest is something you have to check out. And yeah, it's a really special story. I think it's one of those, just even having it directly with you, it just kind of really connects. And I feel like people just relate to it, and it's the food and it's like the humanity of it all. That's so fantastic. So anyways, this is Hospitality and Politics, powered by the New York City Hospitality Alliance. I am Andrew Ridgie, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.